Are there, I'm sure there probably are, but who do you, or have you personally followed in the realm of either, in the world of apologetics or theology?
Oh my.
I mean, you look out for their works, their books.
Who? You want some influences? Okay, the biggest influence in my life is probably J.P. Moreland. You haven't purchased it yet, get Love Your God with All Your Mind, start there. Read that book. That is the best beginning to show, because Jesus says that we are to love our God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Matter of fact, I just wrote about this today. This is today's blog. And we do a really good job of loving God with our heart and soul, especially Sunday mornings, worship time. We don't do such a good job loving God with our mind. Because to love God with our mind means we have to work at it. It's like homework and study and like school a little bit. We got to read things that are maybe a little bit more difficult for us than we're used to. And that can be a little bit uncomfortable. And in the blog today, how many of you guys have seen this video that's going around where they took 6 second graders in New York and they fed them like this fabulous, expensive French dinner? Have any of you guys seen that? New York Times Magazine. Okay, go to the Come Reason blog today. There's a link to it. They take all these second graders and they give them a $220 a plate, 7-course French sampler meal, like by one of the most world-renowned chefs. Okay? And so he comes out afterwards and he starts asking, it's a wonderful piece. And he asks the kids, what was your favorite course? Now they're in the middle of dessert. Oh, this is the one. This is the one we like the best. Yeah, of course you do. He goes, and the pasta, he says, and the pasta was good too. Yeah. He goes, oh, okay. Well, maybe next time it'll be macaroni and cheese. And yay! They all go, right? This is how children eat. My kids thought that McDonald's was the best thing in the whole world. You sure you want to go to McDonald's? Can't we? No, McDonald's. Because they're children. They don't have a sophisticated palate. But guess what? When you're an adult, when you have kind of gone beyond the easy comfort foods, and you eat like a really good lobster thermidor or something like that. Okay. Now the bad stuff, it's like when you grow your palate, a Happy Meal is no longer satisfying, right? It's like what you thought was good became bad, but the really good stuff, a nice steak, becomes so much better. The pleasure of it is so much larger. And it's that way when we start to study theology and study God. We have a simplistic faith a lot of times about God and easy answers. But when we study God, when we get into the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty, some things are hard. Some things are tough to chew on. Some things we don't have clear-cut answers. But when we study and when we discover the real concepts behind those things, it drew me so much closer to him to see how intricate his love really is. And it makes it just, and again, the other analogy I use is music, top 40 is all right, but once you develop an ear for classical or jazz, and you understand that music and you understand the complexity of it and what the composer is doing, the Johnny B. Good thing it's nice, but it's not going to satisfy you the way something else. And so our level, this is why Jesus says, love your God with all your mind, because it elevates our relationship with him. This is what you do with any lover. Any person that you're trying to develop a relationship with, you learn about them more. A terrible first date is the movies. Why is a terrible first date the movies? Because you don't get to talk to one another. You don't get to see one another. You're both listening to somebody else. A dinner is a much better first date because you can converse. You can learn something about one another. And the more you learn, the more you grow in your relationship. And that's what I hope to do. Now, it's harder to love your God with your mind because, like I said, it forces you to go out there, forces you to go to classes like this where I may say some things that are like, what does that mean? You're reaching up a little bit. Yeah, you're stretching muscles you haven't used in a while and it kind of gets tight. But that's okay because when you come out of it, I mean, let's face it, you guys probably won't look at Halloween the same way again, right? It's just kind of a cool thing to find out how much is in there. Christianity, like I said, Christmas is a whole other thing. Watch the video. It's cool. And this is the kind of thing that we see over and over again when we start talking about the idea of God's, for example, even the tough questions like God's predestination and free will and things like that. When you see that what some of the leading people are thinking about that, it's amazing. So, J.P. Moreland, Love Your God with All Your Mind will start you on that road. Bill Craig has a big influence on me. I would say Paul Copan. If you want a couple of good books that just help you answer certain like typical throwaway lines that people will use at you, well, that's true for you, but not for me, or things like that. He's got a book that's true for you, but not for me, which is excellent. He's got, and then that's just your interpretation. I think is the second one, but he does a really good job. And then Greg Koukl, the Tactics book, is a way to talk about how you converse with others and engage them. That's a wonderful book. Those are some of the ones that I would talk about. There's actually more than you would imagine out there. It's just, those are at least some basics. If you're looking at resurrection stuff, Gary Habermas, he's top notch. Yeah, there's, and for, different specialists for different areas. But those are some of the guys that I would say right off the top.